When you're shopping for an engineered wood flooring, it could get confusing pretty fast. On the surface, they all look like the same old floor, but the prices can be wildly different. Some are incredibly expensive, while others are priced almost like a cheap laminate. You start wondering, am I overpaying, or is the expensive one actually worth it? Today, I'm going to break down what actually makes the differences, so you know what you're paying for and what you're not. Hi, I'm Andrew from Maru Pacific, a flooring contractor based in Southern California. Engineered hardwood is often seen as the dream flooring option. It brings warmth, natural character, and a high-end feel to a space. But since this is something most homeowners buy once, maybe twice in a lifetime, a lot of important details tend to get overlooked. Let's start with the structure. Solid hardwood is made from a single piece of wood. Engineered hardwood has a real wood veneer on top, bonded to a plywood core underneath. Today, we'll look at engineered flooring from the surface all the way down. Traditionally, most wood floors were finished with a glossy polyurethane. But if you think about it, people choose wood flooring to walk on the natural wood, yet what you were actually touching was a layer of a plastic. That's why oil finishes have become popular. They preserved the natural texture and the feel of wood. The downside is maintenance. You typically need to re-oil the floor every few years. Think of it as a cost of bringing the nature indoors. For homeowners who want the look of oil without the maintenance, there are matte polyurethane finishes, often called thin poly, and UV cured finishes. One important clarification: a UV finish here is not a UV protection layer. It's a curing process where the finish is hardened instantly using ultraviolet light. Modern UV finishes are extremely low sheen, so visually, they can resemble oil. They also offer excellent resistance because the finish forms a very uniform surface film. Some people feel it look like slightly more artificial or plastic compared to oil. In general, traditional polyurethane finishes are the most affordable because they can be fully automated in a factory environment. It's fast, consistent, and efficient. Oil finishes are different. They penetrate the wood instead of sitting on top, which means longer processing time and much more hands-on labor. More importantly, oil exposes every detail of wood grains, notch, color variation, and inconsistencies. So manufacturers usually start with the higher grade lumber. That's why price differences often come from overall material selection, not just from the finish itself. Below the finish is the coloring process. Today, natural tones are very popular. Years ago, colors like honey oak or gunstock oaks were common, especially on red oak. With the white oak, there's another option: smoking or fuming. This process uses ammonia fumes to react with the tannins in the wood, changing the color from within the wood fibers, not just on the surface. That's why scratches on the smoked floors are less noticeable. Now, the real star of the engineered hardwood is the veneer, the top wood layer. It determines most of the product's quality. There are many species, but today I'll focus on the white oak, especially what's commonly called European oak flooring. White oak is denser and more moisture resistant than red oak. With a high tannin content, it works well for smoking. European white oak grows more slowly, resulting in tighter grain and more uniform color. It's traditionally viewed as more refined and premium. Northern American white oak grows faster and shows more natural variations, not mineral streaks and character. It's often described as a value-driven, but that does not mean lower performance. In fact, it's often slightly harder on the Yanka scale, making it a true workhorse for high traffic area. Same species doesn't mean same grade. Narrow boards could be sorted into A, B, C, and D grades. As planks become wider, it became much harder to find boards with a zero character. That's why Most white plank European oak includes visible variations. White planks that still maintain a true select appearance require heavy material rejection, and that's why they can cost 1.5 to nearly 2 times more. The veneer thickness typically ranges from about 0.6 millimeter to 6 millimeter. That may not sound dramatic, but it's like comparing a 1-story building to a 10-story building. Very thin veneers are cost efficient, but limited in durability and texture. Around 2 to 4 millimeter is where engineered hardwood really shines. Natural texture, stability, and long-term performance. Personally, I see 2 to 3 millimeter as a sweet spot for the residential use. Thicker veneers exist, but they're very expensive and require very controlled environment. Another detail that affects both price and performance is how the veneer is cut. Plain sawn veneer is the most common and efficient method. It produces wider, more varied grain patterns and is generally more affordable. The quarter sawn and rift sawn veneers produce tighter, more consistent grain patterns. This structure makes the wood more resistant to seasonal movements, but it also wastes more material, which drives the cost up. As planks get wider, plain sawn veneers are used more widely. Finally, the plywood core matters just as much as the veneer. The cross-layered construction is what gives engineered flooring its stability, often more stable than solid wood. Single-species plywood like birch tends to perform more predictably over time. Adhesives matter too. Look for emission certifications like CARB 2, E0 or E1. Since most engineered floors are glued down, the installation adhesive is just as important as the floor itself. I avoid hard-drying adhesives. The wood expands and contracts seasonally. Brittle glue cracks and breaks, causing hollow sounds and failure. Elastic adhesives maintain a solid, premium feel underfoot. I personally find that cheap and good is rare, and expensive and bad is everywhere. Knowing why something costs more is what helps you make a confident decision. We only scratched the surface today, but I'll be diving deeper into each topic in future videos. I'm Andrew from Maru Pacific, and thank you for watching.